On the face of it. Susan Hill. Before you read, this is a play featuring an old man and a small boy meeting. In the former's garden, the old man strikes up a friendship with the boy who is very withdrawn and defiant. What is the bond that unites the two? Scene 1. Mr. Lamb's garden. There is the occasional sound of birdsong and of tree leaves rustling. Derry's footsteps are heard as he walks slowly and tentatively through the long grass. He pauses, then walks on again. He comes round a screen of bushes, so that when Mr. Lamb speaks to him he is close at hand, and Derry is startled. Mr. Lamb. Mind the apples. Derry. What? Who's that? Who's there? Mr. Lamb. Lamb's my name. Mind the apples. Crab apples those are. Windfalls in the long grass. You could trip. Derry. There. I thought this was an empty place. I didn't know there was anybody here. Who is Mr. Lamb? How does Derry get into his garden? Mr. Lamb. That's all right. I'm here. What are you afraid of? Boy. That's all right. Derry. I thought it was empty, an empty house. Mr. Lamb. So it is. Since I'm out here in the garden, it is empty until I go back inside. In the meantime, I'm out here and likely to stop. A day like this. Beautiful day. Not a day to be indoors. Derry. Panic. I've got to go. Mr. Lamb. Not on my account. I don't mind who comes into the garden. The gate's always open. Only you climbed the garden wall. Derry. Angry. You were watching me. Mr. Lamb. I saw you. But the gate's open. All welcome. You're welcome. I sit here. I like sitting. Derry. I'd not come to steal anything. Mr. Lamb. No. The young lad steal. Scrump the apples. You're not so young. Derry. I just wanted to come into the garden. Mr. Lamb. So you did. Here we are, then. Derry. You don't know who I am. Mr. Lamb. A boy. 13 or so. Derry. 14. Pause. But I've got to go now. Goodbye. Mr. Lamb. Nothing to be afraid of. Just a garden. Just me. Derry. But I'm not afraid. Pause. People are afraid of me. Mr. Lamb. Why should that be? Derry. Everyone is. It doesn't matter who they are, or what they say, or how they look, how they pretend. I know. I can see. Mr. Lamb. See what? Derry. What they think. Mr. Lamb. What do they think, then? Derry. You think. Here's a boy. You look at me. Dodden. Then you see my face and you think. That's bad. That's a terrible thing. That's the ugliest thing I ever saw. You think. Poor boy. But I'm not poor. Underneath. You are afraid. Anybody would be. I am. When I look in the mirror and see it, I'm afraid of me. Mr. Lamb. No, not the whole of you. Not of you. Derry. Yes. Pause. Mr. Lamb. Later on, when it's a bit cooler, I'll get the ladder and a stick, and pull down those crab apples. They're ripe for it. I make jelly. It's a good time of year. September. Look at them. Orange and golden. That's magic fruit, I often say. But it's best picked and made into jelly. You could give me a hand. Derry. What have you changed the subject for? People always do that. Why don't you ask me? Why do you do what they all do and pretend it isn't true and isn't there? In case I see you looking in mind and get upset, I'll tell. You don't ask me because you're afraid to. Mr. Lamb. You want me to ask. Say so, then. Derry. I don't like being with people. Any people. Mr. Lamb. I should say, to look at it. I should say, you got burned in a fire. Derry. Not in a fire. I got acid all down that side of my face and it burned it all away. It ate my face up. It ate me up. And now it's like this and it won't ever be any different. Mr. Lamb. Derry. Aren't you interested? Mr. Lamb. You're a boy who came into the garden. Plenty. I'm interested in anybody, anything. There's nothing God made that doesn't interest me. Look, over there, over beside the far wall. What can you see? Derry. Rubbish. Mr. Lamb. Rubbish. Look, boy, Look, what do you see? Dairy. Just grass and stuff. Weeds. Mr. Lamb. Some call them weeds. If you like, then, a weed. Garden. That. There's fruit and there are flowers. And trees and herbs. All sorts. But over there, weeds. I grow weeds there. Why is one green, growing plant called a weed and another flower? Where's the difference? It's all life. Growing. Same as you and me. Dairy. We're not the same. Mr. Lamb. I'm old. You're young. You've got a burned face. I've got a tin leg. Not important. You're standing there. I'm sitting here. Where's the difference? Dairy. Why have you got a tin leg? Mr. Lamb. Real one got blown off, years back. Lamey Lamb. Some kids say. Haven't you heard them? You will. Lamey Lamb. It fits. Doesn't trouble me. Dairy. But you can put on trousers and cover it up and no one sees. They don't have to notice and stare. Mr. Lamb. Some do. Some don't. They get tired of it, in the end. There's plenty of other things to stare at. Dairy. Like my face. Mr. Lamb. Like crab apples or the weeds or a spider climbing up a silken ladder, or my tall sunflowers. Dairy. Things. Mr. Lamb. It's all relative. Beauty and the Beast. Dairy. What's that supposed to mean? Mr. Lamb. You tell me. Dairy. You needn't think they haven't all told me that fairy story before. It's not what you look like, it's what you are inside. Handsome is handsome. Does. Beauty loved the monstrous beast for himself. And when she kissed him he changed into a handsome prince. Only he wouldn't. He'd have stayed a monstrous beast. I won't change. Mr. Lamb. In that way. No, you won't. Dairy. And no one'll kiss me, ever. Only my mother, and she kisses me on the other side of my face, and I don't like my mother to kiss me. She does it because she has to. Why should I like that? I don't care if nobody ever kisses me. Mr. Lamb. Ah, but do you care if you never kiss them? Dairy. What? Mr. Lamb. Girls. Pretty girls. Long hair and large eyes. People you love. Dairy. Who'd let me? Not one. Mr. Lamb. Who can tell? Dairy. I won't ever look different. When I'm as old as you, I'll look the same. I'll still only have half a face. Mr. Lamb. So you will. But the world won't. The world's got a whole face, and the world's there to be looked at. Dairy. Do you think this is the world? This old garden? Mr. Lamb. When I'm here. Not the only one, but the world, as much as anywhere. Dairy. Does your leg hurt you? Mr. Lamb. Tin doesn't hurt, boy. Dairy. When it came off, did it? Mr. Lamb. Certainly. Dairy. And now, I mean, where the tin stops, at the top. Mr. Lamb. Now and then. In wet weather. It doesn't signify. Dairy. Oh, that's something else they all say. Look at all those people who are in pain and brave and never cry and never complain and don't feel sorry for themselves. Mr. Lamb. I haven't said it. Dairy. And think of all those people worse off than you. Think. You might have been blinded, or born deaf, or have to live in a wheelchair, or be daft in your head and dribble. Mr. Lamb. And that's all true, and you know it. Dairy. It won't make my face change. Do you know, one day, a woman went by me in the street. I was at a bus stop, and she was with another woman, and she looked at me, and she said, whispered, only I heard her, she said, look at that, that's a terrible thing. That's a face only a mother could love. Mr. Lamb. So you believe everything you hear, then? Dairy. It was cruel. Mr. Lamb. Maybe not meant as such. Just something said between them. Dairy. Only I heard it. I heard, Mr. Lamb. And is that the only thing you ever heard anyone say in your life? Dairy. Oh no, I've heard a lot of things. Mr. Lamb. So now you keep your ears shut. Dairy. You're peculiar. You say peculiar things. You ask questions I don't understand. Mr. Lamb. I like to talk. Have company. You don't have to answer questions. You don't have to stop here at all. The gate's open. Dairy. Yes, but, Mr. Lamb. I've a hive of bees behind those trees over there. Some hear bees and they say, bees buzz. But, when you listen to bees for a long while, they hum. And hum means sing. I hear them singing, my bees, dairy. But, I like it here. I came in because I liked it. When I looked over the wall. Mr. Lamb. If you'd seen me, you'd not have come in. Dairy. Number. Mr. Lamb. Number. Dairy. It'd have been trespassing. Mr. Lamb. Ah, that's not why. Dairy. I don't like being near people. When they stare, when I see them being afraid of me. Mr. Lamb. You could lock yourself up in a room and never leave it. There was a man who did that. He was Mr. Lamb. To himself, there, my dears. That's you seen too. Ah. You know. We all know. All come back. They never do, though. Not them. Never do come back. The garden noises fade. Scene 2. Dairy's house. Mother. You think I don't know about him, you think. I haven't heard things. Dairy. You shouldn't believe all you hear. Mother. Been told, warned. We've not lived here months, but I know what there is to know, and you're not to go back there. Dairy. What are you afraid of? What do you think he is? An old man with a tin leg, and he lives in a huge house without curtains and has a garden. And I want to be there, and sit and listen to things. Listen and look. Mother. Listen to what? Dairy. Bees singing, him talking. Mother. And what's he got to say to you? Dairy. Things that matter. Things nobody else has ever said. Things I want to think about. Mother. Then you stay here and do your thinking. You're best off here. Dairy. I hate it here. Mother. You can't help the things you say. I forgive you. It's bound to make you feel bad things. And say them. I don't blame you. Dairy. It's got nothing to do with my face and what I look like. I don't care about that, and it isn't important. It's what I think and feel and what I want to see and find out and hear. And I'm going back there, only to help him with the crab apples. Only to look at things and listen. But I'm going. Mother. You'll stop here. Dairy. Oh no, oh no. Because if I don't go back there, I'll never go anywhere in this world again. The door slams. Dairy runs, panting. And I want the world. I want it. I want it. The sound of his panting fades. Scene 3. Mr. Lamb's garden. Garden sounds. The noise of a branch shifting. Apples thumping down. The branch shifting again. Mr. Lamb. Steady. That's. Got it. That's it. More apples. Fall. And again. That's it. And. A creak. A crash. The ladder falls back. Mr. Lamb. With it. A thump. The branch swishes back. Creaks. Then silence. Dairy opens the garden gate. Still. Panting. Dairy. You see. I came back. You said I wouldn't. And they said. But I came back. I wanted. He stops dead. Silence. Mr. Lamb. Mr. You've. He runs through the grass. Stops. Kneels. Mr. Lamb. It's all right. You fell. I'm her Mr. Lamb. It's all right. Silence. I came back. Lamey Lamb. I did. Come back. Dairy begins to weep. The end.